Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading, and today is July 23rd, 2024, and today is Tuesday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, U.S. markets are pumped up right before earning reports. Now, there's no major economic event scheduled for today, but there will be some earning reports today, starting with Coca-Cola, Google, Tesla, and Visa, all coming out with their quarterly earning reports. Now, looking at the various markets, going into these numbers, the Forex symbols are pretty much unchanged almost across the board. And as we look at the U.S. indices, both the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ get a bounce. Now, looking at commodities, we're watching gold slide and natural gas finally get a bounce. Now, looking at the stock, Tesla did get a nice move to the upside. And last, I look at cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin retraces after a second push to the upside. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go. I'm just going to cover the Australian dollar, even though it hasn't changed that much. But it's coming to an interesting junction. It is coming down to its supportish level, previous resistance, on a multi-time frame. So yes, has it been doing nothing for the past couple of days? Yes, it just retraced just a little bit, maybe another 20 pips. But it's getting to an interesting spot. And after a massive sell-off, we may see a 50% bounce. Okay, so keep that in mind. We may go to 66.73. It's about 50 picks, okay, but still something out there. So keep an eye on it, all right? It's an important area for it to bounce off of. Now, jumping into commodities, gold continued to slide on the downside, the bottom of its range, 23.91. Also on supportish area, so this is going to be an interesting place if it's going to hold it or bounce. Now, looking at natural gas, finally got a push to the upside. I mean, it's been, selling off from its 316 level down to almost 195, and then bouncing off of it to 226. That's a decent bounce. Okay, now the bounce I would expect it to hit all the way up to 244-ish level, somewhere around there. Okay, so keep an eye on it if it does continue. Now, looking at the U.S. markets, they get a little bit of a bounce yesterday. I mean, that's not a big deal, but a 200-point bounce for the Dow Jones, and the NASDAQ gets a little bit more of an aggressive bounce. Now, remember, we have Google coming out with their quarterly earnings, Tesla, and Coca-Cola, which are really important, and they're starting off this massive earning reports for almost across the board. Now, looking at the individual stocks, okay, so let's take a look at Google, because I think that that's going to be an important play today. Now, Google did have a gap up and go yesterday, but exhausted itself towards the end of the day. Now, it's at 183, all-time record highs of 193. I'd like to keep an eye on this. It's smack in the middle. It's really hard to decipher which way it's going to go, but it's definitely going to be in play. Now, looking at Tesla also coming out with their quarterly earning reports, this one even had a sharper bounce, okay, to the upper part of its range. Remember, this saw a massive comeback, okay, from 164 up to $200, 266. So that was a pretty push-up, big push-up on a daily. If you look at that over the past, I would say it's 2 weeks, right? It's pushed up. Question is whether or not it's going to be sustainable, and we're going to see this extend after the earning reports. Now, remember, Tesla is really a wild card with some of the things that they produce. I'm looking at NVIDIA also pushed to the upper range, as that is trying to make some comeback. Next month, we do have their quarterly earning reports as well. Now, lastly, Bitcoin. Let's take a look at it. Pushed higher for a second time, okay, after that push to 68,000 and then gave it up to 66,500. Now, that's a pullback, okay? But you see that the moves are getting less and less extreme. I would use that 8-day moving average as a possible support and then not. Okay, so keep that in mind, as that is something to consider. We just might be finding ourselves a new range to trade in. 72,000, the upper range, obviously, and 58,000 on the lower range. Okay, so that's something to consider for today as well. This is Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.